Welcome to the Pattern Recognizer. Most people are running programs they never chose. Today we expose one of those patterns, see exactly how it works, and discover the precise shift that can set you free. Let's begin. Here's a small sentence that rerouted a life. A man I know, brilliant at engineering, heard his high school teacher say, "You're not a creative type." He repeated that line so often, quietly, that it became the theme of his adult choices. He avoided projects, sidestepped promotions that required design thinking, and when offered creative responsibility, he felt anxious and underprepared. Years later, he realized the sentence had been the pattern. One line, repeated, stitched him into a narrower destiny. Name the pattern, micro-narratives. These are the short, repeatable stories you tell yourself, often one clause, one verb, one assertion, that run beneath goals and habits. Unlike a habit, which is a behavior, a micro-narrative is a tiny operating instruction for the mind. It answers a private question you didn't know you were asking. Who am I in this small moment? And because it's short, it is easy to repeat, easy to anchor, and astonishingly stubborn. Now let's expose the psychological mechanism. Micro-narratives stick because of three interlocking processes: confirmation bias, reward mapping, and identity encoding. First, confirmation bias privileges evidence that fits the sentence. If you say "I'm bad with money," you unconsciously scan for purchases that feel like proof, and you forget the times you saved or negotiated well. Second, reward mapping ties a small emotional payoff to the sentence. Complaining or self-protecting often gives immediate relief, a tiny dopamine flicker that rewards repetition. Third, identity encoding. Our brains file the sentence into the self folder. Say something enough times, and it becomes an internal label that predicts behavior. Together they form a loop. Say the line, notice confirming evidence, get the emotional hit, reinforce the label, repeat. That loop is compact, cheap, and highly contagious. There's an esoteric layer too, the knot logic of fate. In sacred geometry and certain inner alchemical systems, small cords woven repeatedly form a knot that defines shape. In numerological terms, repeating units create a circuit of resonance. The same number patterns attract the same outcomes. Rosicrucian inner work names how subtle phrasing transmutes subtle energy patterns. A single repeated sentence becomes a cord that draws similar informational particles into a configuration. Imagine tiny colored threads. Each micronarrative is a thread. Alone, a thread is inconsequential. Repeated, braided, it becomes a rope. Repeated for years, multiple ropes bind you. That's the esoteric architecture. Energetic cords built from language linked to attention and emotion. Powerful reframe. You're not a fixed garment. You're a piece of cloth on a seam. Most people focus on the visible cloth, the habits, the job, the relationship. But the seam, the stitches, are invisible. Change the stitch and the fabric relaxes. Replace one verb in a single story, and the entire weave shifts. Concretely, I can't. A tight final verb becomes I haven't yet. A verb that keeps the seam open. Suddenly the fabric has give. Metaphorically, you unpick a stitch and the surrounding threads loosen. Practically, that loosened space invites experiment, new evidence, new reward mappings. The pattern is the prison. Awareness is the key. Now the precise practice, the 3-minute Unpick ritual. This is a daily micro-ritual you can do standing at your kitchen counter, before coffee, or after brushing your teeth. Step 1. Spot the line. For 60 seconds, notice the sentence you repeat when you stall, what you say to yourself in the small moment. It's often a single clause. I'm awkward. I'll never be in shape. I'm not good with money. Step 2. Locate the origin. Ask for 30 seconds quietly. Where did I first hear or feel this? A voice in childhood? A single failure? Name it, but don't argue with it. Step 3. Swap a verb. Choose the simplest grammatical change to open the scene. Swap can't for haven't yet. Am for becoming always. For often. Make it slight. Step 4. Anchor with breath and gesture. Inhale 2 counts. Exhale 2 counts. And place your hand on your sternum or the table. Speak the new line aloud once. That's it. 3 minutes. Repeat each morning for 7 days. Why this works. Small language changes alter attention and reward mapping without triggering defensive identity walls. When you gently edit a verb, you avoid a hidden assault against self-image that allows new behavior to test the edit. Implementation tips. Journal the original line and the swap line each night. Time the ritual for the first 3 minutes after waking. Habit stacking makes it durable. Run a 7-day micro-experiment with one measurable test. Send one email you'd normally avoid. Or spend 15 focused minutes on a creative task and record the outcome. Expect resistance, shame, minimization, or the voice that tells you the change is trivial. Name those responses as part of the pattern, not as failure. If the sentence anchors deep trauma or systemic harm, pair this ritual with therapeutic or community support. It's a lever, powerful, but not the entire machine. A quick micro-experiment to try now. Identify one sentence you say about money, relationship, or competence. Swap one verb. Say the new sentence aloud once with your hand on your chest. Notice how your body responds. That tiny shift will not fix everything today, but it creates a perceptual gap, a place where new data can enter. Track results for 7 days, and you'll begin to see how networks of small sentences reconfigure in response. One shift changes everything. Recap: micro-narratives are the tiny sentences that stitch your life. They persist through confirmation bias, reward mapping, and identity encoding, and they form energetic chords in the esoteric architecture of the self. The Unpick ritual gives you a precise, repeatable lever. Spot the line, trace the origin, swap a verb, anchor the change. Practice 7 days, pair with deeper work when necessary, and treat the ritual as one reliable tool among many. If you want companion practices, Rosicrucian reweaving exercises, breath sequences, and chapter-length guides to remapping your narrative architecture, my full library lays out the full methodology. That is the pattern. That is the mechanism. And that is your shift today. If you're ready to decode the full architecture of your life, explore my complete library at Desmarques.com. Subscribe for daily micro practices, and if this episode landed, share it with one person who needs a tiny opening. The pattern is the prison. Awareness is the key. That is the pattern. That is the mechanism. And that is your shift today. If you're ready to decode the full architecture of your life, explore my complete library at Desmarques.com.